It's pathetic / embarrassing storytelling time. Yeah, I gotta think of a different name for that. So when I was younger, my dad hated any type of headgear. Honestly, I really don't know why he didn't like them. I guess he grew up very traditional, so to him, fitteds, headbands, do-rags, all that stuff he thought of as extremely ghetto. You know what? In fact, let me take it back a little bit further. Way back when I was in 7th grade. You know what? Let me take it back a little bit further. In 1969, my father, at 7 years old, left the great country of Haiti, where suffering is free and kids use rocks as Legos, to come to America. So, as with most people that come from third world countries, he was paranoid as shit. Which, I guess makes sense given the fact that he comes from a place where you have to fight for every little thing that you have. But, with that said, I grew up with an extremely paranoid dad. Like, he can't go to restaurants because he doesn't trust the waitress, and he's very adamant about locking doors and closing fences. Which I don't understand, because it's not like a bona fide burglar who can pick a lock with a toothpick is gonna see a closed fence and be like, "This is unfortunate." What happened? What happened? Look! Alright, man, let's wrap it up, man. Night's done. Let's wrap it up.
My fault, man. My fault. My fault, man.
And what I don't understand is, when you scouted this place out, you didn't notice there was a fucking fence. And on top of that, it's closed.
I figured we could, I don't know. I don't know what I thought.
What do you think we are? Fucking X-Men? So he hated headgear, and he was paranoid as fuck. These are the things you need to remember. The mental tools you'll need in order to embark with me on this fuck festival collage of a story. Which, by the way, if you want, you can easily just X this video out right now and get off the train at this stop. Because we're about to go deep into the rabbit hole of my life, which is almost never a good idea. Still there? Alright, whatever. Did what I could. So he hated headgear. And honestly, this was a huge conflict of interest for me because back in the 7th grade, these items were pretty fashionable. You know, fitteds, do-rags, headbands. So I used to love when he used to go to work before me in the morning because he couldn't drive me to school and I wouldn't have to hide my fitted and do-rag and all that bullshit inside of my book bag and then take it out when I get to school. I can just put them on anywhere. That was my adolescent acts of rebellion. While my cousin was out smoking cigarettes, I was putting on fitteds in the kitchen. Such a badass. So anyway, I come home one day and my dad's not home, which is great because I get to have the TV all to myself. So I decide I'm gonna watch a movie. And as a bonus, I'm gonna watch it with my fitted on. So thinking that my tape was already in the VCR, yeah, I know DVDs were out, but we didn't have money to buy, whatever, it doesn't matter, it's not important to this. So I press play and I see, not Tarzan, but black and white footage of me walking around in the living room with my fitted and do-rag on. So of course I'm a little thrown off. So I fast forward and rewind a little bit, and anyway, long story short, this paranoid maniac actually installed a hidden camera in the living room. And this tape was probably about a month's worth of recordings. So immediately I start freaking out, and I'm like, fuck! Do you realize how many times I jerked off in that living room? And these weren't your standard 15-minute jerk-off sessions like what I do now. And honestly, I can say that 10 of those minutes is spent just finding the right video. Because I can't just watch any porn. I kind of have to get into Stanley Kubrick mode when I'm watching my porn. The lighting has to be just right, the shots gotta be well composed, and I don't want too high of a production value. I'm more into the indie stuff. But that's it. I do my thing real quick, I go to bed. I do it about 3-4 times a week for sanity purposes, but that's it. All in all, it's a pretty civilized ordeal. I'm actually pretty proud of myself. But that's me now. My 7th grade sessions were much more primitive and ferocious. So I'm talking 3-4 times a day. And I can do it to anything. There was this one time I did it to a video game magazine. And all it was this female character that's standing in battle stance position with a sword in her hand. Nothing sexy about this picture at all. And I couldn't even do it in my own room because we had a few people over. So I had to go in the cool ass bathroom. And I'm like laying in the hard, cold porcelain tub trying to prop the book up in some type of way. But that's not really working. So I'm like holding the book up in one hand and I'm going at it with the other in a weird fetal-like position. So that's what I did for Thanksgiving that year. So these were my masturbation heydays. I mean, like, I did it so many times that I honestly started to get like a fucking, I don't even know what the fuck, I guess like a masturbation rug burn. Hey, I told you to get off the train. So now I'm like trying to find like another way to grab it because I didn't want to have too much friction. So I'm kind of like grabbing it like this from the. So that's what my dad gets. A nice wholesome video of his adolescent son playing Twister with his penis in the living room. And it gets worse. So this all happened before I discovered internet porn, so I had to get my fix from these videotapes that my dad had hidden in the closet. A genius move on his part, by the way. So I would watch these tapes and then I would rewind them back to the spots that they were at originally so he wouldn't notice. But there was this one time that I couldn't find the spot that it was at originally. So I started freaking out, terrified, because he's gonna know. So eventually I actually start crying. This is pathetic. Like literally crying and praying to whatever the fuck is listening to help me find the spot. And if it does, I promise that I would never do it again. Like I'm literally making deals with the universe to save me from masturbation exposure, because I obviously has nothing better to do. So eventually I find the right spot that it was at when I first started watching it. So I stopped crying, I stopped freaking out, and I do it again immediately. So that's what my dad gets, a nice black and white silent film of his son spanking it, crying, praying, then spanking it again. You know, I should actually find that tape and then cut that part out, maybe edit it just a little bit, and then send it to some pretentious film festival or art exhibit. I'm sure it will win many awards. You know, this is a very interesting piece. I love what it says about the socio-economic struggles of the upper percenters versus the lower class. The 1%.
The 1%, yes, the 1%.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even the 0.5%.
The 0.5%, yes. Yeah.
People don't see that though.
People don't see that, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. The 0.5% is probably one of the most important percentages out of all the percentages. Now, I think those tiers represent the 0.5.
And the tiers are symbolic of George Washington.
George Washington, yes. George Washington's ascension.
Yes.
Which is
apotheosis, yes. I mean, you simply seem to know it all.
Actually, I went to college. My bad. I apologize. That was way too long of a story about masturbation. But the good news is I never got in trouble for rocking that headgear, because in order for my dad to bust me on that, it kind of would be implied that he saw me servicing myself as well. So it ultimately was a checkmate. Yeah, I'm gonna need a therapist.
Just wait for me a while. Is it too late? I hope it's not too late.
It's genius.
It's art.
It's life.
It's life.
It's life.
It's life. It is life. It is life. Life.
Life.
Life.